Hello, wild ones. It's Cole Adams, and I am here on the last day of Plain April, and I wanted to show you my successes and some of my failures. We had a really rough month. It was just pouring most of the month here in the Pacific Northwest, and so I did what I could. I didn't beat myself up about it. I ended up doing a lot of sketching, more so than painting, but I'm happy with getting out and about, and I'm happy with what I accomplished. I started the month here, Plain April, Poo-Poo Point, from my car. It was wet. I ended up doing some collage piecing over the top and adding some just hand sketching, and I love the border I created and having this plant come out of the border and adding a little texture around made me happy, and I like the piece itself. The next day I did 2 willow trees, and this is with a Posca type marker, a paint marker, and I called it the Willow Sisters in the Rain, and I was really trying to do some arbitrary color for the sky. And then went and did the crow and the exploring harmonic armature. So that's what the lines are behind, with the Crow with Fries by Peter Requiem. It's in Auburn, Washington. It's a huge monumental crow. It's really massive in size. Then I went to our local arboretum and did the Arctic butter burr. It was growing wild at the arboretum, and I added a little bit of collage to this as well. This is collaged in, and this paper didn't end up being that great. It was a piece of rice paper that just ended up not having as much strength as I needed it to have, so I ended up putting that into it. I also did this piece out in the wild. I was just looking at a root ball and trying to figure out a way to abstractly represent this roots of a tree going in, and there's some collage on there and some just arbitrary color, and then I did this with blown texture through a straw. I went away. I went to Port Angeles to see some friends, and because everything kind of seemed like it was going wrong this time, I left all of my sketchbooks at home, which for me is leaving my sketchbooks and my pocket, like my everyday book at home was just really stressful for me. But I did have a little pack of 3x5 cards, so I ended up doing this Salt Creek rendering on a 3x5 card, and I really like it. The Twisty Tree, also done with I started with the Posca pens and then went into doing some gouache over the top, and I really like how this piece turned out. I then went to the Pioneer cemetery near me, and this was a cemetery. I also didn't really like working on this paper, so I found some papers I really didn't like working on in this adventure. And then this was another grave site that day. I really like working in a cemetery. I find it's very peaceful there. Then I went to art camp, and my friend and I chose to go out every day and do some plein air, either painting or sketching, and this is one of the pieces. This is the beautiful Mount Rainier at sunset, or Mount Tahoma at sunset, done in watercolor. This is back to Port Angeles. I just tipped this in with a little paper clip, but this is an art piece at the Olympic Art Port Angeles Fine Arts Center, and the name of it is Compass by Tracy Beals in 2003. and I really loved it. And I love the tree, and I worked on an old piece of ledger paper, which I found really nice. And then this one I did upside down because like things were going wrong this month and it's still beautiful. This is a totem piece at the art camp I went to, and they had a hazard sign up, so I drew that, and then I just drew some of the birds on the wire there, and then our word for the week that kept us on track was edamame. So if we saw each other getting kind of off track, we'd say edamame to each other, and it worked really well to kind of keep us back on track. And I'm going to put my finger over this because I really obviously rewrote it wrong, but this baby feather was in the grass. We found it one of the days of art camp, and I just sat and really sketched it. And we think it's a flicker or a raptor feather. And then I was early for a meeting, and in the front yard of one of the neighbors of the person I was meeting with had this beautiful brick square of just incredible tulips. So this was my idea of what the tulips looked like, also done with Posca pen. And then last week I went and painted the troll, one of Thomas Dambo's trolls here in the Northwest. This is the Legend of the Bird King on Vashon. And I went out with my friends Connie and Carla and Diane and Dixie and Candy. And we did a paint day, a draw day, and then we did some show and tell at lunch. It was so much fun. And this is watercolor on the paper I didn't love, but then finished with the paint pen. And I love the arbitrary color here. It really makes me happy. And this one's really light and just a sketch. And this is why I didn't like this paper, is that everything bled through. But we did see, my girlfriends and I saw orcas the next day at Point Robinson Park, which is where the troll is and where this lovely lighthouse is. Since I knew I wasn't liking this paper, I just sketched it on this one. So there's the Point Robinson lighthouse. And then this last weekend, I ended up staying in an Airbnb, and the Airbnb was just one of those old colonial houses that was beautiful. Doing an Adirondack chair is a really interesting challenge, but really beautiful place. One of the big takeaways this week is noticing, or this month, I think, spending so much time near the water and having your noticing turned up from a month of painting in the wild equals the magic of seeing a seal basking in the shallow waters. So the last painting I've done so far, I'm going to do one more here in this park before I finish Plein April, but this is my last painting outside moment. Obviously I painted it after they left, but this seal was just laying on its back, basking in the sun, and I felt like I really earned that noticing. I think that's one of the things that Plein Air does for you. It just turns the dial of noticing way, way up. I also have this little book, which I'm going to go through really quickly, and I think I'll do it face down just so you guys can see. But this is the sketchbook that I did all month too. So some of it is repetitive, some of it is not repetitive. This is my son's car. We got him a brand new, it's 18 years old, a car that's older than he is. And then I also use this book to do some value studies of each of the paintings over there. And this is when I was being very audacious and thinking I would get to do all that. We also did some pottery this month, so there's that. There's the crows. Value study. Some more of Salt Creek, another one that I had to tip in because this was another book that I'd left at home that weekend. This is some drawing from, we were watching a show, and this was like a 1960s patterns from the show. This is a trail of gratitude, so a bunch of things I'm grateful for. My wacky little bird, some color ideas, Selkie, and what Selkies stand for. I'm working on a big Selkie painting right now. My garden poppies are poppin' and so pretty. Sea botanicals, I think they're kind of beautiful in their own way. This was at a bar I was sitting at. It had some really cool brick patterning, and then this song from the 80s, 867-530 name came on, and I thought that was awesome. Here's an idea for a painting. Spoons. Another gratitude line of all the things we were sketching outside at art camp. The mountain. A funky old tree that's there at camp. Another gratitude line. I was trying out this Unijet jet stream, and I did a bunch of eyeballs. This was sketching at the pergola, sketching some of my art friends. A bunch of notes, because that's what also goes into this book. Mount Tahoma and all her peaks. Point Robinson Lighthouse. You can see how they kind of mimic each other. More notes, some shadows, looking at shadows. Kind of fun to draw. I went to a gathering for my old MOPS group. Another gratitude line, and this has a quote by Brett Goldstein in it. It's about gratitude. The more you practice it, the more you see it. And I feel like that kind of mimics this month's theme. This is a sketch of the Railroad Museum in Snoqualmie, and some notes and a little balloon gal in Snoqualmie. We happened into the Easter egg hunt. We were swimming. I was swimming with Darcy, and the fish cannon came and put fish in the lake while we were swimming. This was a sketch I did while I was at a board meeting, and these are very inspired by the troll that was coming the next day. We went and saw Parade, and there's a list of all the things I needed to pack. Parade, the musical, very difficult to watch, but very good. Point Robinson Lighthouse with a big bird on it. Vashon Ferry Dock. Upside down again. It's been a rough month. I don't know what's happening. And a whole bunch of notes from our weekend away. Lady in Rage, it's another piece I'm looking at. Some yoga. Two friends were doing yoga, so I decided to sketch them instead of doing yoga with them. And there's my basking seal inside my gratitude line. And that's it for this book. There's a few more notes in here, but that's it. And that's the back cover, front cover. I love carrying one of these with me too. And it's just a really neat way to live. So Plein April, success, even though not perfect. Yet again, art leads the way on what feels perfect and not. So take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and have a wonderful day, and take care of this earth. And if you haven't liked and subscribed, please do. Have you ever tried a challenge that kind of didn't go the way you expected it to go? And how was it? And is there any challenges that you would recommend I try next? I'm thinking maybe Mermaid.